My man Mark, how we living?
Chris, I'm living well, thank you. How are you?
Let's go, dude. I'm doing great, man. I'm so excited to get the chance to rap with you today. Before we even jump in, I feel like it's only necessary. I got to give a shout out to our mutual connection, Jamal Hamilton. I saw that he was diving deep into this bad boy, which I want to get into, but took literally like maybe 5 minutes for me going, God, I need to get my hands on that book. And then you're like, Chris, man, I'll do you one better. Let's rap about it. And here we are. So, Jamal, appreciate you, bro. You totally teed us up for this one.
Yeah, big thanks, Jamal. Thank you.
Yeah. So, what's up, man? What you been up to today?
Today specifically, I have been looking at some spreadsheets, looking at calculating our model for 26, 27. I have put together a deck. Somewhat embarrassingly, being a Brit, you don't like to talk about stuff like this, but I am up for an award next week, and I've got to put a deck together for that.
Come on.
It's exciting in a way, but equally, I genuinely mean this. I'm quite happy just making the top 5. I could quite happily drop out now. I've got the accolade. I don't need to go to 200 miles away, be there for the night, put a deck together. Quite happy being in the top 5, to be honest.
No, but hey, top 5, are you kidding? I was a C student. Top 5 sounds great.
Yeah, exactly. So in a way, I've already won. Put that deck together. I'm doing a group session on Thursday, tomorrow. So on Deconstructing Discovery, every month at My Sales Coach, we have I do a personal group session, one on problem prospecting, one on deconstructing discovery. So I was putting a deck together for that. I've had a discovery call. I've had a senior leadership meeting. That's pretty much been my day, mate.
All right,
what about
man.
you?
You're over here doing the work, man. For those of you guys listening, just so you know, so Mark Ackers, dude, he's the co-founder and head of sales over at My Sales Coach. I want to jump into a little bit about what you guys are doing over there. Obviously, you're pumping out. You've got a lot of sales literature out there. Like I stumbled across articles, whether it was on LinkedIn, off LinkedIn. There's a ton of articles that are affixed to My Sales Coach. And then, of course, the two main dogs that I want to talk about today. And for those of you guys, I'll make sure I put the links to the books, but this is what I'm living in right now, Deconstructing Discovery. For those of you guys who tune in regularly, you know I'm like a sales lunatic. I love it. From the psychology to the methodology to the processes to the try this, don't do that. And then next on my list, I got maybe a quarter of the way through, but I really wanted to stick with Discovery, is problem prospecting. And to be fair, this one I'm most excited to jump into because as a vice president of sales, like a lot of what I'm trying to teach my team is how to identify the correct ICP vertical. And, you could waste so much time talking to an influencer and then they're out and you're starting from scratch. And so I want to touch base on a number of these things. But first, dude, talk to me about My Sales Coach, man. What are you guys doing over there?
Sure. So here's probably the best way to answer that. I'm assuming you're kind of like inadvertently saying, "Give me the pitch," so to speak. Is that?
Yeah.
Fair?
Hey, bro. Give me the pitch. Let's go.
So here's the situation. That's just the reality of the world. Teams have never had more tech stack, technology, help, advice, guidance. They've never had more at their fingertips. And the trajectory of the world is about how can we make sales reps more efficient and effective with their time. Like stats show that they spend anywhere up to 80% of their time on non-sales activities. Everyone's striving for how can we make sales reps more effective, more efficient? How can we give them more tech stack? And we've got everything, right? But what technology is not doing is making us better at our craft. It can serve up answers. So, you can use AI and it give you answers. You should do this. And it might even tell you why. But it doesn't tell you how. And it doesn't ensure you put it into practice. And it doesn't help you get better. And I mean, I've been in sales for 15 years. And honestly, the first 8, I was crap.
Yeah.
I didn't think at the time. No one thinks they're crap. But when I look back, my God, I was crap. And the real inflection point for me was I got a coach. I met a coach every Friday, 8 o'clock in the morning, had an hour to an hour and a half with this coach. They listened to my calls, they read my emails, they looked at my proposals, and it was brutal to begin with, like really, really
Oh,
tough.
I'm
But
sure.
after like 9, 10 months, I remember them saying to me, just want you to know, I've not changed how I'm coaching you. I'm still being very harsh on you. But the reason it feels better is because you've got better. And it's the same thing. Wow, this is really working. Obviously, started closing more deals, earning more money. But so I've slightly gone off a tangent as to the pitch, but that's the world that we find ourselves in. Sellers being asked to do more with more technology. Quota attainment, though, has never been lower.
Yeah.
Why? Because we're not helping people get better at their craft. Not only are we getting loads more tech, so are the buyers. The buyers have got more insight, more knowledge, more experience. So there's this trade off where we need to help our sellers. My sales coach is what we do. So we believe that coaching on a consistent basis to develop someone's confidence and competence and help them fulfill their potential is the ultimate way to level up a seller.
Yeah.
There are hundreds and hundreds of things that you need to be good at to be successful in sales. What we have is a marketplace of 80 plus expert coaches that have, quite frankly, walked in your shoes, done the job that you're doing, had the success that you crave, and come out the other side. What we do is we work with sales teams. We do a 4-point evaluation that mixes manager opinion and insight with an evaluation that's data driven, scientific,
Mhm.
research proven and validated. Take the assessment, take the feedback from the manager and the seller. We create a unique coaching plan for that individual. We match them to their dream coach, and then we coach them. We coach them on a regular, consistent basis to help them get better at their craft. And when you get better at selling the right skills, the right mindset, the right behaviors, and it's regularly reinforced, that's when you get good at sales. And when you mix that with today's tech stack and landscape, that's when you win. And that's what we do.
It's the magic. Dude, couple things I want to jump into that because I love that so much. So look, like, and we kind of rapped about this before, is I have a background in coaching women's college soccer. And I am just such an advocate of like coaching, call it consulting, but that kind of like constructive feedback, non-adversarial support. Like if you're an athlete, obviously it's a lot more social norm. You got to go to practice, you're trying to get better. But as a business professional, it's equally, probably more so important. And that's why I love diving into different sales literature because there's like, almost like you said, you were crap for 8 years, but you didn't know it at the time. And you really don't get that peek outside the window unless you are subjecting yourself to the, oh, well, how are you doing it? Or what else is out there? So I love the whole world around you guys are just like showing up for the people that are a part of my sales coach. And I think that that's fire, man. And more professionals need that type of safe space where we all understand the rules of like, hey, man, I'm going to spit it to you straight. But if you work with me and you continue to put in the reps, which I think is something else that is missing in sales today because of all this fantastic technology, you're really creating an environment for some magic to happen and probably birthing just some monster sales killers. So that's so dope.
So what's really interesting, right, is so first of all, with the right desire, you can get good at sales by yourself. You can go and read books, you can go and watch webinars, take e-learning courses, you can network. But here's what will happen. You will make loads of mistakes because reading and kind of, I mean, any sort of consumption of mass material is really like training, right? Like you can take on as much of that as what you want, but until you put it into practice and do it on a regular basis, like that rhythm. So yeah, you can go and do it by yourself, but unless you're held accountable, unless you've got someone to guide you, you're going to make loads of mistakes,
Yeah.
and it's just going to take you longer. It's a cheat code. Getting partnered with someone that's walked that journey before, right, and can tell you and point out things that you cannot see really help. Just accelerate your development. And let's be really clear: the beauty of sales is the better you are, the more you earn.
Oh, yeah.
right? Like,
No, we're not in this for nothing. Sales, hey,
nothing.
you could admit
Can
this.
you imagine?
Sales is miserable, man. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
High pressure, crazy quotas, psychopaths like you and me. Sales is not, you know what I mean? Nobody's in fourth grade going, you know what? Yeah, I want to be a sales agent. Like it found us and we stuck around, you know?
Well, it found us because how many people just fell into sales?
Yeah,
I was at my son's school career fair. They asked me if I would be one of the stands, and every kid, what do you want to be when you're older? Older, want to be a doctor or work with animals. No one said they want to be in sales except one kid. And when I asked why, it's because his dad was in sales,
get
right?
it.
But that's so unique. But the other thing I was going to pick up on your coaching background, sports the perfect analogy, right?
Always.
We can all pick like our favorite athlete or sports team. Imagine how we'd feel if they said, "I don't do training and coaching. I just turn up." It would be unacceptable.
Yeah. It's ghastly. Are you kidding?
Let's take, soccer to you, football to me, right? Let's take that. To be a soccer or slash football player, you're already in the top 0.01%.
Yeah.
You're already, but you train 5 days a week for 90 minutes. Let's flip sales over. You're in sales because you fell into sales. You've not got a degree in it. You have landed into sales. You are nowhere near the top 1%, right?
Right.
Nowhere near. Yet you train how often? You get coaching how often? You do call and deal reviews how often? Yeah, what you're doing is you're practicing on your prospects every day.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? It's crazy, but that's the world we live in, but that's the world we're fixing.
No, for sure. And that's why I love it so much, man. I'm such an advocate for seeking coaching. And the other thing that I wanted to touch on, just with respect to what you mentioned about, especially in 2025, sales is inundated with tech stacks, whether it's, oh, how do I enrich my lead source, or what can I do to find a better discovery, or do kind of like an intent scoring module, or like, dude, it's honestly very overwhelming the amount of technology that is out there. Some of them eerily similar, but they've all got their like value prop or unique differentiator. But at the end of the day, man, that's something that I kind of wanted to get into with respect to my sales coach as well, is like, you're obviously showcasing how you can use some of this new sales technology, but I really like that you mentioned like it's still a human skill craft. Like you could get the best scripted pitch in the whole world. You could get the best leads in the whole world. Like, look, 100%, this is their mobile now number, the email works, XYZ, but it's a human craft. And so talk to me a little bit about how you're leaning into leveraging some of the tech stacks in some of your courses.
So, I think there's a few parts to this. First of all, when I speak to sales leaders every day, I have done really for about 10 years now. My sales coach, I've been here we co-founded the business about 3.5 years ago, but prior to that, speaking to sales leaders. And three problems that I hear all the time. One is forecasting.
Hmm.
Like none of the deals in my pipeline close when they say they're going to close. The other is the other side, top of funnel.
Hmm.
We don't create enough of our opportunities. And then the third problem is most of my revenue comes from a small percent of salespeople, my top performers, and I cannot get other people to that level. There's other problems, of course. Top performers get promoted to managers and they don't know how to manage. It can be that we lose too much to no decision and ghosting, and we discount too heavily and stuff like that. But those are the three main issues. When you think about, well, let's take top of funnel as an example. Yeah, you can get loads of tech stack now. When I started out, it shows my age, but I started out, I don't know if you'd have it in the US actually, but you'd have a version of it. It was the yellow
Oh
pages.
yeah.
It was a
Dude, I was just gonna say, Mark, I was gonna say pay phone book. Like that was
yeah,
sales.
honestly, it was Christmas Day when the new one got delivered every sort of 6 months. Christmas Day,
Dang.
right? I got given Anthony Gray, who got let go. I got given his drawer of old business cards. And that was it.
Yeah.
Like I had to just try and find these bits. Now you've got phone numbers, emails, you've got intent, you've got I remember the first time I saw a sequencing tool, I nearly fell off my chair. I couldn't
Sure,
believe.
dude.
So there's loads of tools out there to help you be more effective at prospecting. Does it make you better though?
Right.
Does that mean you know what to say on a cold call, how to say it? Does that mean you know how to craft a good email, when to send an email versus a video versus a voice note versus picking up the phone? It's a skill. But let's look at this, right? Let's say someone can't build pipeline. Let's just think about some of the reasons that could be. So let's assume they've got all the tech stack they want. It could be a mindset thing. So like kind of like a will thing. They might not have the desire to do it. They might not have the commitment to do it. They might not have responsibility. They might believe it's not on them, right? They might think I'm going to blame everything else. I'm going to blame the data. I'm going to blame the text. I'm going to blame the market. I'm going to blame our ICP. They might not have like a good outlook. So it could be like a will thing. It could be kind of like their DNA. So they might have a need for approval, which means they believe that they have to be liked by their prospect. How can you be liked if you're a nuisance phone caller? They might feel that way. They might feel like they can't ask questions because they're going to upset someone.
Hmm.
It could be they've got supported belief system. They've grown up, don't talk to strangers, spoke when spoken to, people don't like receiving cold calls. So again, that their own belief and their core beliefs affect what they do at work. It could be they've got their own buy cycle, how they buy, they believe how others buy from them.
Hmm.
And it could be that they have weakness discussing money. Like they get, again, when you grow up, don't talk about money. You don't ask your parents how much they earn. Money's taboo. Or it could be they just can't handle rejection, right? It could be a DNA thing. But then it could be a tactical thing. It could be they can't qualify, they can't hunt, they can't reach decision makers, they can't value sell, they can't consultatively sell, they can't present the right thing at the right time to the right person. All these attributes. It's no wonder that giving someone a dialer and a load of phone call and load of numbers doesn't help them become better.
Right.
And that's the thing. When I speak to sales leaders, they tell me these problems. I'm like, that's your headline, right? If you look at a newspaper, that's the headline. We need more top of funnel.
Hmm.
What's the story? What's the root causes? And that's the first part of what we do. We figure that out for every single seller. And then once we know that, we can go, right, well, each seller's different. They've got different experience, different age, different background, different beliefs, different will, different capability. Let's create unique coaching plans and then let's fix that with their dream coach. Whereas too often, what people turn to is, we need more pipeline, buy more tools, buy more data, buy more people. Let's get a trainer in for the day.
Hmm.
And you bring in one person, one set of ideas. By the way, they delivered that content down the road and tomorrow they're delivering it next door.
Yeah.
And you got a bunch of salespeople in a room that have got different wills, different beliefs, different DNA, different capabilities, lapping up the
All
same
doing
generic
the
content.
exact same thing. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
it just doesn't work. And actually, when you really talk about like we are now, it's so obvious. It's the problem in sales is we live in this month to month, quarter to quarter cycle, growth at all costs. Again, if you stick with football, it's really hard to take a step back and develop the future players. You kind
Right.
of got to win your next game. So it becomes difficult. I think lining back to your original question about leaning into the human skills, that's the part of it. What is the mindset problems? What are the skills problems? How can we effectively give them the coaching they need? And that is the right coach as well. Not everyone responds well to everybody. It's about coaching style, background, their belief system, how direct they are, etc. From a tech stack point of view, it's such an interesting time. So, obviously use AI all the time. Like I definitely wind my friends up when I talk about how much I use AI. I think it's a really interesting time though, because it does, in my mind, two things. One, it makes the great sellers really good. It makes average sellers lazy
Yeah.
and
Really bad.
actually
And just you see
command.
right through it 100%.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it becomes harder because they're able to knock out so much more, and you've got more noise to filter through to figure out. It's a really interesting time.
No, I agree. Well, and that's one of the things I loved is like, that is sales expression, the law of large numbers. Like you were just saying, you're speaking to sales leaders. They're like, oh, top of funnel, more reps, more leads, like, and so we're like, sales is not a law of large numbers game. I mean, sure, you got to have the output, you got to make sure that the pipe is filled, but on that same notion, it's a skills game, man. It's not necessarily just the machine with 500 more contacts. It's, hey, if you've got 50 really good contacts, let's leverage like human nature, authenticity, unique approach, all of these things that are very skill based for a human being rather than just like this spray and pray tactic that, like, dude, you're on LinkedIn. I'm sure your DMs are ridiculous with just these robotic templates of, hey, do you want a 10x your this? And I can assure, like, it's gross, man. And so I'll take this one from Darren McKee. It's never been easier to sell right now just because of how low the scale is on what most sales reps are doing. But you really got to work hard to get there. Like, you got to really care, you got to give a shit. And that's ultimately continuing those reps, seeking counsel and coaching. Like, dude, that's what we need to be doing for sure. So
100%.
I dig
Like
it.
cream always rises, and we are going to see a shift where AEs and SDRs, the low performing, the ones that don't put the effort in, and look, it's not always their fault. I think that's really important. They can
Right.
be put in environments where they're set up to fail. And actually, most of the time, it's the manager's fault. Most of the time, right? But the way in which the world is going, they will lose out other sellers because those sellers prioritize on learning. And I think that's what probably took me too long in my life to realize. I probably didn't realize for 5 or 6 years that sales was a skill.
Hmm.
The first 5 or so years of my life, I was almost embarrassed to be in sales. I felt like I was here because I didn't really have a craft. I didn't really have a skill set. I remember like looking around the office sometimes thinking, I can't develop, I can't.
Yeah.
I remember looking at like HR and thinking, I don't have a degree in that. Like I've not studied that. I looked at marketing. I'm not very good at that. I guess I just sit in sales because I can talk to people. And I think a lot of that was in my head. But it's when I realized it was a skill and actually a really important one. And if you can learn that, you can fine tune and perfect that. And that's obviously what we're all striving for is perfection.
No,
Who
for
knows when you can
sure.
have it? That was a real sort of moment for me. And again, just what fuels this mission.
Yeah. Dude, I love that so much. I totally agree. Let's jump into this guy first. Is so I'm nearly finished with this one. My book is just smothered in highlights and little pens to the sides, but I jotted down some concepts. We'll keep it surface level because ultimately I want everybody to go out and, if you're into sales literature, this deconstructing discovery is absolute fire. It's going to live on my shelf. All throughout this deconstructing discovery, there's like a common theme, which I love, dude. You separate discovery from an inbound, discovery from an outbound, discovery from when it's cold to when it's warm to when they're super interested, and just how to kind of leverage these like trigger words or psychological approaches so that you don't lose it or put water on the fire when you're right towards the finish line. So the first thing I kind of want to jump into is there's this common theme that about controlling the call, right? So like in and I think it goes back to what you were just saying. People don't want to ask the difficult questions. They might feel like they have no right to ask those difficult questions, or like, I work in debt collection, so we talk about money all the time. And there is absolutely a taboo. And when I first started, it felt weird talking about money, right? So, but from your side in real life, controlling the call, like, what would you advise? How do you pull that off without sounding like a robot?
So it's a mindset thing. And I tell you the big sort of change for me, it's not my quote. I think it's in the book though. I say I think I feel like I should know that,
Yeah.
but in fact it will be in the book. It's the doctor patient analogy, right?
I
So
can confirm it's in the book.
if not, I'd be making an edit. So I remember, I think it was Mark Roberge, who used to be the former HubSpot, and he gave it a patient relationship. This is my interpretation of it anyway. So everyone goes and sees their doctor, quite hard here in the UK, but that's not for this conversation. But when you go and see a doctor, you don't often know their name. Like I actually genuinely don't know my doctor's name, and I don't know anything about them. I
Yeah.
don't know how long they studied for, how many patients they've seen, if they've won awards, where they went to uni. I don't know anything. But when I go in, that doctor doesn't care. And what I mean by that is they don't care about upsetting me. They don't care about asking difficult questions. What they care about is that if they can help, they will. And it all starts in the same way. What brings you here today? You tell them. So let's play this through, right? I'm here because I've got a chest pain.
Mhm.
Tell me more about that. And you divulge, and they go, okay, how long have you had chest pain? Okay, maybe I've had that for 5 days. 5 days is quite a long time. Why am I only seeing you now? And then, have you had this before? How much does it hurt on a scale of 1 to 10? What treatment have you already taken? Did that have any impact? Did that work? Have you got any other symptoms? Anything else going on? Is there a family history of this? They'll have a little listen, right? They'll make you do some sort of exercises, and they'll put you through the ringer. Only at the very end, not before, not after. Only at the very end, they go, I think you've got X. Let's say a chest infection. I think you need Y, antibiotics. They write it down, give it to you, and you say thank you. You don't say, I'm going to go and speak to a couple other doctors and
Yeah.
think about it. I need to do some research. You don't say, let me think about it. You don't say, can I have a discount? You don't say, can I have a free trial? You literally say, thank you. Why? Because you trust them.
Right.
You don't actually have to like them, right? And I would go as far as to say, some doctors I've seen in the past, I did not like.
No,
They were
same.
cold, rude, to the point. They were 10 minutes late, whatever. But you trust them.
Yeah.
Because you feel like they've listened to you and they've asked you questions, they've covered all bases, and you take your medicine. You literally go home and put whatever they've told you into your body.
Right.
Like the levels are
Dude,
unbelievable.
well, when you put it that way, that sounds bonkers, but it's there's
Like,
such a
literally, you put anything they say into your body, and you take it. Like obviously, like there's some horrendous stories where doctors take advantage of that. Obviously, right?
yeah.
But and here's the real thing. They're not afraid to tell you just to go home and you'll be fine by yourself. They don't have a need to give you medicine. They actively don't give it, right? Like, this will be fine. Just go home, 3 to 4 days, everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Or on the flip of that, they're not too ego driven to send you somewhere else. Look, I can't help. I'm not an expert here. You need to go and see a specialist. I'm going to book you an appointment. You should go and see this person. All they care about is, do you need their help? And if you do, they'll find it out and they'll prescribe the right medication, right? Sales is the same. And that's what took me too long to realize. Again, that first sort of 8 years, I'm not realizing this, right? When you detach from the outcome, i.e., I'm not here to give you medicine. I might do, but I might not. My job is to figure out what the problems are. I don't care what the outcome is at this stage. I'm gonna investigate. I'm gonna obviously discover, is what we would call it.
Right.
And you're not afraid to ask the questions because you see yourself as the good guy. I'm sure if you ask doctors, they'd say, I'm the good guy. I'm the hero.
Yeah. I'm just
I
trying to
help
help,
people.
man.
I'm the hero. I've done the right thing. They didn't need medication, or they did, right? And that's what we're doing in sales. We're the good people. And when you have that mindset, I'm trying to help. Actually, it makes cold calling easier because I'm calling to see if I can help people.
Yeah.
I'm not calling to be. I'm calling to help people.
God,
When
that's
you run
so
discovery calls,
powerful, Mark. My gosh, dude.
well, if you think about like I know we're sidestepping, but if you go to cold calling, if you can say, I'm calling the right ICP because I know they're like to have these problems and I can help with that, you're doing a noble service.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if you're just randomly calling people and trying to twist their arm, that's where I get it. It can be uncomfortable. But if you genuinely believe you're calling to help someone, and look, here's the uncomfortable truth. Not everyone wants to be helped. That's okay.
That's also
Can't help
true.
everyone.
Yeah.
Right? But back to that discovery, this is a level conversation. And too many people put their prospect on a pedestal and they look up at them
Mhm.
and they let their prospect look down on them.
Yes.
And it's this irregular balance. Doctors probably look down on you because they're more, but really what salespeople, we just got to go into that conversation. We're both here on a level footing.
Yeah.
My job is to help figure out if you should buy our products and service and why. I'm not here to convince you. I wrote a LinkedIn post about this the other day. Someone said to me, I said, "What would you like to get from this conversation?" And he said, "I want you to convince me that we should be
I
spending money on my
saw
sales."
that. And you're like, I'm not, well, if that's what you're looking for, I'm not going to convince you of anything.
I just said, "Well, that's not my role. I'm not here to convince you." I mean, I can talk about that more personally as well, right? So imagine this. This is about a year and a half ago. I had a friend that worked a business, a professional friend that worked for a very large UK business, and they asked me if I'd be a keynote speaker at their sales kickoff. And I was a little bit like, that'd be kind of new to me, not done it before. Okay, let's do it. You just need to meet the managing director. This is a big dog. I'm like, okay. Got on the call. This was a paid gig, couple of £1,000. That'd be very, very nice,
Yeah.
great, whatever. Get on the call, and he's like, "So convince me why you should be my keynote speaker." And honestly, word for word, I went, "That's not going to be happening today. You've asked me to be here. I'm happy to talk to you about my expertise and what I could do. If that's not what you're looking for, no hard feelings. But John, I'm not convincing you of anything."
Yeah.
And do you know what? I wasn't for them. They decided that, but that's fine. I'd much rather that than go all the way down to the bottom end of the country, take 2 days out of the office and do a keynote speak they're not happy with.
Yeah.
That's not what they're looking for. On this discovery call, again, yeah, I'm not here to convince you anything. That is someone that doesn't understand the art of selling, or they're trying to power play you.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm not here to be bullied. I'm not here to be intimidated. I'm a professional. I'm here to help you. I can help you, but I'm gonna have to ask you questions, and sometimes I'm gonna have to challenge what you say because you won't always tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Not on purpose, not because you're dishonest, because you won't know what to tell me. And maybe I've asked the question poorly, maybe I've not quite articulated myself, but sometimes as well, you won't know what you don't know.
No, 100%.
Like a doctor will ask you questions, you think, how's that relevant? Well, it is because they know. And then that's what they're trying to do. So a bit of a tangent there, but hopefully that
No,
helps.
no, I love it, dude, and I'm all here for tangents, dude. I feel like that even in my own sales journey, crossing that bridge into feeling comfortable asking those type of questions as the doctor, I think that was difficult for me. I have a very, I want you to like me type of personality. And I try and bring that to the calls, and I used to have this like mindset that asking those more poignant or, direct questions would trigger sales resistance because I wasn't thinking of myself as an equal authority on the call, And I think that once I made that switch, and this is like what I try and teach my team even today is like, yo, your time and your calendar matters just as much as whoever you're engaging with. And so when you do lower yourself and you're looking up to that prospect, I feel like in a lot of those scenarios, that's also triggering sales resistance. It allows them to control the call. And ultimately, you're losing all of the magic that you would have gotten otherwise in that discovery because you're just not, you're not showing face value to the solution that you're capable of providing. So, I love that, dude. I love that take so much. I want to jump into some of the prospecting stuff as well. Prospecting? Come on, man. Prospecting is not easy. You can have all the tips and tricks and tech stacks and everything in the world. Prospecting is not easy. And so the first thing that I want to jump into, which I love and dove into, highlighted in my prospecting book already, is you got loads of scripts. Some of them I'm already putting into rotation to like A/B test and see what works the best. This one's more one of those gimmicky fun questions. But if you only kind of had one script that's your ride or die, let's call it an opener on a cold call. Like what is your approach? Are you going permission based? Are you going, this is a strategic call and jump right into it? Like, what would you advise for some of the younger sales reps?
Yeah. So I love this because I think there's so much psychology at play.
Yes.
First of all, making a cold call and receiving a cold call, it's worse for them. It's worse for them. You have the prospect, right? Because I always remember this as a little boy. Obviously, the world's different now, but I used to live with my nan and granddad, and if the phone would ring after 8 o'clock, there'd be fear. They would look at each other and be like, "Who's this?" who's this calling at this time of night? EastEnders, Coronation Street was on. Like, who is calling at this time of night? You get it, Frank. No, you get it, Mark. They'd answer the phone and it'd be like, hello? And then the world changed. You got caller ID and like mobile phone. But there was always this, who's that calling? Like, and you could see the fear. And even I was sat thinking, Christ, who's calling this time? Who's dead?
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, right. But that's always sort of stuck with me. The person receiving the call, it's worse for them because when you decide to make a cold call as a seller, here's just what some of the things you know. What they look like, which I think is important. Like you build up a little mental image. You know what they look like. You know their name. You know where they work. You know roughly how old they are. You know what you want. You know what outcome you're looking for. The purpose. You know the time of the call. You control everything.
Mm,
For the prospect, they're just sat there and the phone rings
dang.
and they don't know.
That's a wild way to look at it. You're spot on, man. You have all the control as the caller.
Totally. And this is where it goes wrong. If you're a nervous cold caller and you get a nervous prospect, that's why there's that friction at the start. Like two people, like just so
We
you got
both
to own
don't really want to be here right now, type of thing.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to own it. My ride or die, my cold call opener is always the same. Chris, it's Mark Ackers calling from my sales coach. We've not spoken before. Do you mind just from one professional to another? Can I take 35 seconds to explain why I've chosen to call you today? Now, let me break that down. Chris, it's Mark Ackers, right? First of all, Chris, there's no messing around. This call's for you, right? One of the things I hate is ring, ring. Hi, is that Chris? Straight away, you know
You just
that
killed
this is
your authority, right?
yeah, exactly. If you don't know who you're calling, why should I listen?
Right.
Here's the thing. Most people don't like that. They go to me. They go, but what if it's not Chris? And I'm like, so what? Like, if
What's
it's
the
not
worst that'll
Chris,
happen? They go, no, this is Tim. Must have the wrong
yeah,
number. Thanks, mate.
exactly, right? So, Chris, it's Mark Ackers. This is a call for you, and this is who I am. Because the second your phone rings, you're thinking, who is this? What do they want? How do they get my number? Right? You're thinking that.
Yeah.
So the barriers start going up. So, Chris, it's Mark Ackers, right? It's for you, and that's who I am. Now, here's the dangerous bit. If I left it there, you're thinking, Mark Ackers, right? He knows who I am. Do I know who? The problem? Your mind is wandering. I need your mind.
Yeah.
So, Chris, it's Mark Ackers from my sales coach, by the way. Sorry, I left that out. That's where I'm coming from. We've not spoken before. Okay, I don't need to go and wander off and try and place you.
Immediately relieved. They're relieved. I don't
Yeah.
have to remember some conversation I had 5 years ago with exactly.
Because no one wants to feel stupid. Crap, I don't remember Mark, but
Yeah.
he remembers me. Right, Chris, it's Mark Ackers from my sales coach. I know this is for me. I know his name. I know where he's calling from. I know we've not spoken before. I'm listening. Then it's, and I love this line, from one professional to another. Right?
Love that too.
Now, that line humanizes you, right? We're both professionals. It puts you on a level footing. I actually can say different. I can say from one sales leader to another,
Yeah.
which just slaps that bit, right?
No, for
but
sure.
you can change it, right? Like you can be a marketer from one security professional to another. Like you can change it, but the fallback line is from one professional to another, right? Straight away, I'm not speaking to some schmuck. Even though they're saying it doesn't mean they are, but they are. One professional to another, right? There's that level footing there. Can I take 35 seconds to explain why I've chosen to call you? Now, look, everyone's got their own opinion on this, and that's sales, right? It's not maths. It's not right or wrong. It's
Right.
opinions. But I've done this for like 15 years now. I've worked for 8 years at a conversation intelligence company, studied the data. Here's the psychology though, right, Chris? Chris, if I said to you, can I take 30 seconds of your time? Do you think that's a legitimate 30-second request? Like if your boss messages you, if you got 30 seconds?
Probably not.
Right. If I said, Chris, have you got a minute? You know I want more.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and I feel like a minute feels more subjective than saying 30 seconds, which is kind of why I like the off number. Like I've seen some reps do like the dude, if you just have 37 seconds, maybe this clicks, maybe it doesn't. You could tell me to kick rocks.
So here's the thing. I hear this 27 seconds, 37 seconds, 24 seconds. It's a gimmick.
It
That's
feels
what it
made up.
sounds
No, it does feel made up.
right. There is something, and all I can put it down to is it feels precise.
Yeah.
35 seconds, it just
No, it's a
lands.
strong number, man. It's a strong
Yeah.
number.
Yeah. I remember the day in the office that I said, "Look, that's the number, and it's working."
Yeah.
Right? So it's Chris, it's Mark Ackers calling from My Sales Coach. We've not spoken before. From one sales leader to another, can I take 35 seconds to explain why I've chosen to call you?
Money.
I've got variations where I might say things like, your heart might sink. This is a cold call. Do you want to hang up?
Yeah.
But if that's the ride or die, that's what I'm going to battle with. That's my opener. And honestly, if you deliver it with the right confidence, the right energy, the right inflection, the right, almost a little bit of
Yo,
cheekiness,
for
right?
sure.
But it works.
No,
And I will die on a hill that
I
works.
love that. I love that. Dude, I might do a couple cold runs with that one today. I'll shoot you a message on the LI. I'll let you know. But dude, I think that you really roundhoused it with the last comment that you made is look, you can adjust this part, you can switch this part, whatever, but it really is in the how you say it, your tone, your inflection, that roller coaster of emotions that you're able to put into your voice. That is what locks it in with the confidence. And it's not the script, man. Your script could be rubbish, but if you go in there and read it like Robert De Niro, dude, you're booking that meeting for sure because you hear that authority in the voice.
Here's the thing, right? Don't do what you're not comfortable with.
Yeah.
I've coached probably thousands now of salespeople in cold calling, and I remember there's one in particular who used to be in my team, and he was desperate to do the opener of "This is a cold call. Do you want to hang up?"
Hmm.
Right, and people just kept hanging up on him, and I just had to say to him, "Look, I know you like that. I know you think that makes you sound really edgy and cool. Here's your problem. You can't pull it off. You are not cheeky. You're not coming across right.
This isn't Leo D and Wolf of Wall Street type of thing. Yeah.
You, with your delivery, cannot deliver that line. Stop it." They stopped it and it changed.
Yeah.
And that's what I say to people. These openers, right? If you're not a naturally funny or comedic person, don't try and be funny.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not naturally cheeky, don't try and be cheeky. You've got to, because at the end of the day, and this is where AI agents and phone bots, I'm sure one day they'll get there like anything, but this is where they'll struggle to come across as human and adapt
Yeah.
and be humanized. So you've got to find the style that works for you. Right? Like there's some things that I would never say on a cold call. I just can't pull it off. I'm not comfortable, not confident. And then if I'm that kind of person, I'm calling that kind of person that's a little bit, who's calling, what time? That's where you get the
That's
friction.
when you exactly the too awkward. No, dude, 100%. I think you're spot on. Mark Akers, man. I feel like we're already at 45 minutes, dude. I feel like I could talk to you for 2.5 hours. I got a whole laundry list of questions here. I want to respect the integrity of your time. There's two things: a business question that I want to ask, and then I want to get into a little bit of our hooligans because I know that we both, bleed red. All right. So the first is check it out. One thing, this isn't a plug. I just released my own sales book. Corporate Casual,
Congratulations.
stop trying to be someone else in sales. And dude, it was like difficult. It was difficult to write. So I always take notes after my wins and my losses. I eventually just had like this old shoebox of chicken scratch, like garbage, unorganized of like, hey man, you said this and that worked, or oh dude, when you did this, it didn't work. Finally, my wife was like, hey man, why don't you just put that all together? And then it accidentally turned into a book. And so, but that was kind of difficult, intimidating for me to do on my own. I notice, obviously, you have some like co-authors that you're working with in developing a lot of this literature. What's that like? What's it like collaborating? I mean, I'm sure that these, like Richard Smith, for instance, I'm sure he's your close homie at this point. You guys are banging these guys out. What's it like co-writing a book like that?
So I think there's pros and cons. Obviously, I've not written my own book, so it's hard to compare. What's important is you've got to have a shared belief and way of working. So if you take Richard, I have literally in the sort of 15-year career that I've had since university, 13 of those years I've worked with Rich. Maybe 13 and a half. Yeah, no, 13 years I worked with Rich. So
Solid.
we've gone that journey together. The first 8 years, he was crap with me, right? We both started getting regular coaching together. We've gone that journey together. So I think that's important. In terms of like the how, what's really important when writing a book or anything really is you've gotta care, right? You've gotta. So we spoke about, like, if we take Deconstructing Discovery, our recent book, it's like, okay, what are all the elements that we want to include in this book? And like, so for example, like demo, we left on the cutting room floor. Like that doesn't fit into here. This is a discovery book.
Hmm.
So we wrote down all the chapters, and it was like, okay, I really want to write this chapter. Rich, be like, well, I really want to write that chapter. Oh, great. Do what you love,
Hmm.
right? And then there was chapters like, I just don't think that's for me. And he'd be like, I don't. Let's write it together. And, and that's what we'd do. So we'd sort of like speak to each other. We'd sort of record what we're saying. We'd play it back. And really, it's about creating the spine. And then we would write it independently, but then come together. And he would read. So if I wrote a chapter, we'd come together. Yeah. To write the chapter, we'd have a meeting. Right. This is the chapter. Let's say chapter 8, objections.
Yeah.
Whatever chapter that is. What's the spine? What are we trying to do? Okay, Mark, you wanted to do that. You go and write it. Then we'd meet, and I would sit there while Rich read it out loud,
Mm.
and I could hear how it gets read by somebody that's not me. They'd be like, love that, hate that. I'm really surprised you haven't included. Oh, great, yeah, get that in. I'd do a rewrite with me and go through it again. So I think in a way we hold each other accountable. I think
Yeah.
without each other, that book wouldn't have happened. I've got to give a shout out to Stu, who joined us on the first book, like, again, having that extra level of accountability. But it was about shared vision, breaking it down, holding each other accountable, working together. And it's probably, it's writing the book is probably my second proudest sort of achievement in sales outside of, like, like quotas and stuff.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
that, like, in terms of like personal yet professional, it's probably my second greatest achievement, I would say.
Dude, I love that. I feel like you just planted a seed so hard in me because I like I do these podcasts just because I love talking to sales leaders. Even when I'm not talking to a sales like one way or another in any podcast that I'm running, it always kind of pivots into let's talk about sales. Let's talk about the pipeline, what's trends, whatever. And so I say that you planted the seed because I feel like that experience of a shared mission and collaboration, talking about the lunacy that is the sales world and the do this, the do that, the here's what I think, the challenging ideas, the shared ideas. I mean, that sounds like a blast to me, dude.
It's definitely fun, but I think our wives would say you're not doing a third.
No, yeah, for sure. For sure. I could understand that. Well, shoot, dude. Okay. Last question. This one's quick. You know what? Nice to catch the W over the weekend. They're not coming nearly enough. Let's talk about our boys just real quick and we'll wrap it up over at the proud Manchester United football organization. What are we doing right now, man? Is it a coach thing? Is it Amarin? Is it all stemming from the Glazers and the head office? Because, like, dude, we've rotated some killer coaches, in my opinion. Like, I didn't think Ten Hag was terrible. I think Mourinho was maybe one of the best that we had. I was most gutted when we sacked Ollie. Like, is it a coach? Is it the gaffer? Or like, what do you think, dude? What are we doing wrong?
So actually, I think it's a perfect storm of lots of things. First of all, the way in which the Glazers bought Man United should be illegal.
Yeah, it's gross, dude.
They bought like 51% of the club, then leveraged their ownership to get debt to buy the rest of the shares and sat all the debt on the club.
Yeah.
When you've got that level of debt, that makes things very difficult. The next thing is we had Sir Alex Ferguson and just kept and really had no future plan there after he left. And I think from there, what spirals out of control is, and this is obviously my understanding as a fan, right? But Sir Alex Ferguson saying to David Moyes, when you come in, don't sack my backroom staff. And there was a point where you could look at the bench. I knew every one of the backroom staff. He comes in, gets rid of the backroom staff, brings his own people in. First of all, I think that was a mistake. Secondly, we lost our chief executive, David Gill, the same time we lost Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
So we lost two absolute powerhouses. We had a terrible window. We didn't get in any players bar Fellaini. That was an absolute disaster.
Just, oh,
And then in the January, we did sign Juan Mata, who's one of my favourite players we've had post Sir Alex Ferguson. But so we lost our two powerhouses. We lost our backroom team. We had a new manager. We had a bad transfer window. Had loads of debt. We really struggled from that point of view. But then we kind of just when Sir Alex Ferguson left, I do in a way blame him for some of this, like all because it's bloody Rock of Gibraltar racehorse. If he
yeah.
would have just not been so greedy, the shares wouldn't have been sold to the Glazers in the first place. But whatever. But with Sir Alex Ferguson, after he left, we were then trying. This squad needed breaking up, and we didn't get the right players in. Then we went from manager to manager to manager, and there was a point where we had like 7 different managers, and in the squad there was at least one player from each manager. They've all got their own ways of
Right.
playing.
That
Like you
they
had,
brought in, and
yeah,
exactly, man.
exactly. So you had a mishmash squad of players from different managers, all in the same team. From there, we've spent very badly. We've bought very high, sold
Sold
very
so
low,
low. Di
so low.
Maria rings out to me.
Yeah,
There's a handful of others, man. Just gross spending.
we've signed mercenaries and then we've paid players far too much money and we can't get rid of them. It has just, it should be a case study really on how to completely fuck up
Yeah.
the world's biggest and best football team.
Honestly.
It's a disaster. In terms of Amorim, so I was about, I think it was like March last year, get him out. Got to the end of the season and I'm like, I'm going to start again. He's not going anywhere. I'm going to support him. I'm back to get him out.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. My real problem is it's the stubbornness. It's the
With his
I will
formation, you've seen all those articles where it's like, dude, if you're not and no flexibility on the because that's not the team you have on the bench right now, is to run that
no.
formation game in and game out. That's not the crew.
It's the arrogance to put the teams winning and like league position and funding that comes. It's the arrogance to just go, I don't care about the results. We're going to play my way,
Yeah.
even though we lose all the time. And I just think, name another profession where you could fail spectacularly week after week after week and say, I'm not changing anything, by the way. I'm going to keep going. It just wouldn't
It
stand.
makes zero sense.
And we must be a dream to play against. If you're playing Man United in 6 months' time, you can plan today.
For
You can
sure.
plan. This is what they'll play like. Like, it must be a dream to prepare to play against us. So I think Ruben has to take a lot of the blame for his stubbornness, making us easy to play against. But really, Ruben goes out, another manager comes in, we've still got the same problem.
Exactly.
We haven't got the right striking base. I watched the interview with Radcliffe and Gary Neville.
Yeah.
And look, I think he's just a hard-nosed businessman. Hard-nosed businessman, and it looks bad, you know, making people redundant and cleaners and cafe staff, etc. Here's the reality: if people think, "Oh, well, I had a funny chat actually." So one of the people on my team, they're a big Liverpool fan. They hate Man United, obviously, and we're having this conversation. He's like, "So you've got Luke Shaw, who's been injured for a year. You're paying him 200 grand a week, but you're sacking dinner ladies." And I just had to say to him, like, first of all, I know that this is coming from a place of hate, but you don't understand the economics of football in that sense because Luke Shaw's got a contract. We've agreed that we're going to pay him that money. On the flip, if he turned to the world's best left back, he might want 400, but his contract's 200.
Yeah.
Secondly, I said, you know, you didn't hit your target last month. Should I be taking your pay down? And straight away, the back chat. I said, and when you were off sick last year for 2 weeks, should I have docked your pay? Footballers get injured. Like that's part of
That's
the
part of the game. That's
occupation.
why you got that
Yeah,
contract.
exactly. And when you kind of tie it back to their world, like, well, you took 2 weeks sick and you've not hit target. Like, there's that. Oh yeah, okay, maybe
Yeah.
not. But you know, but Jim Ratcliffe's just a hard-nosed businessman. He's like, going to make all these cuts, almost strip the club back.
Yeah.
And actually, when you look at the amount of staff that we had compared to other clubs of the same size, we had like 3-4x the amount of employees. We probably have just like anything, just grown and grown and grown and grown.
Yeah.
You almost need to have that exodus and start again. I do know Man United is too big, too special, too amazing. We'll be back.
We'll be back.
it just could take another 10, 15, 20. It really
No,
could, which
really.
is difficult, particularly when I've got 2 young boys and I'm like, "Support Man United, support Man United." Not it can be hard,
Are
but
you kidding? My
it's so
girls
sad.
equally, they support the Reds. And it breaks my heart. Their favorite player, I got multiple jerseys. I've got his children's books, but they just love your boy Rashford. And they don't, Daddy, why isn't Rashford playing? Daddy, why is he on who's Barcelona? Daddy, how come you're telling me these stories about Barcelona not even wanting him? Like, then what are we doing with Rashford? It's just, I can't break their heart, but eventually I'm going to have to.
If I can find it quickly. So, we had a disaster in my house. So my boy, his favourite player is Rashford.
Yeah.
He doesn't understand why he's not there. But, if I can just find it quick, I think I can. It was an absolute disaster in our house. If I knew how to use, like, social media, where's, like, my history of stories? This is, you have to edit this out. I've basically had this story on Instagram where my son lost, like, 10 football shirts. He had 5 or 6 Rashford shirts, he had Garnacho shirts,
Dang.
he had, he had who was the other player that left? Rashford, Sancho, and
Well,
not
Anton
Sancho.
it couldn't have been Anthony. Nobody's repping
No, he
that
didn't have an
jersey. Are
Antony.
you kidding?
No, he didn't have an Antony shirt. Hang on. Oh, no, you won't it's not gonna work, I understand. Yeah, I had this picture where it's like he's had a disaster of a
Just
window.
yeah. Bro, I have the picture of Garnacho's bicycle on my wall right here, and
Oh,
I'm not hey, it was the goal of the year. I'm not taking it down. Dude, alright, we have to get out of here, but bro, what type of just pleasure seeing Garno on the bench and getting called to warm up and then right back to the bench. And, he's just itching to get out there back at OT. Gosh, man, this sport drives me up the wall, Mark.
I'm sad about Garnacho. I just think you can't if you can't get a player like that playing for you and get the best out of him. I do sometimes question Ruben there,
Yeah.
but equally, he has got a number of red flags, Garnacho, where he's just behaved badly.
Yeah.
He's let him down. Found it. Look at that.
There we go.
Hoyland.
Dang, I see it.
Yeah, there's all these
Man.
shirts. It's where
Hoyland,
like
that's who you're talking about. I mean, dude, he's like injured realm right now. It's not gonna happen. And
I
he's
was just like, bless him. All these shirts just
yeah.
gone.
That's so rough, dude. I will tell you real quick. Gosh, Mark, I could talk to you the days, man. Sales, football. My biggest, we shouldn't have done that was Scott McTominay. Like, just see
Yeah.
what he is doing in Italy, dude. He is, my God, right? Is he a killer? We were not playing him correctly at all.
This is the problem with football, though. Now, this PSR, so profit sustainability rules, mean that it's more effective to sell your academy players because what you sell them for is 100%
Oh, it's
profit.
all you. Yeah.
And actually, what kind of message is that? You should like Chelsea are great example. They've had to sell their homegrown players,
Yeah.
and that's what every football fan wants. Football fans love to sing "He's one of our
He's
own."
one of our own. He made it to the dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas PSR means it's better to sell an academy player for 20 million than buy a player for 30 million and sell him for 80 million because you've got
Exactly.
no, the maths are exactly right, but you get my point that it makes it desirable to produce and sell your own players. Like, and that's why McTominay went. He was one of our own.
Yeah.
And same with Garnacho. It's just all profit for the banks, for the bank balance, sorry, in the books.
No, for
It's a
sure.
real flaw in football. It's a real
Gosh.
flaw.
I still and I will always be a tremendous McTominay fan. It was one of the first years that he joined the squad. They'll do the US tour and they were doing their practice space was at UCLA. That's when I was still living in LA. And so called off of work for like 3 days, would head over there, stand in the big crowd watching. Dude, it was a life. So
Yeah. Did you get to beat any of them?
my man, Mark Akers. This was fun, dude. Such a pleasure to meet you and hang out with you. I'm so stoked that you asked to come and hang out for a little bit. This is not going to be the last one. Like I said, there's a lot more value written. I want to burn through this prospecting book and have you on again. But dude, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I'm excited to see what's next in the world of Mark Ackers. Come on, man.
Thank you, Chris. Love to come back. I'll tell you next time I'll bring Rich along and you can
Let's
have us
go,
both.
please. Yeah, yeah, dude. I'd love to pick both your guys' brain. That sounds fire. So, my
He's
man,
just sat
have a
down.
great night, dude. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
Chris, thanks. Bye.